Okay lang pag-usapan natin ni Yes yung visit to another country? Okay ka lang doon?
By all means po.
Sige po. Yung
As far as we will...
yung last yung last visit sa Singapore
F1.
is that personal or official? Pag personal, wala na akong tanong.
Yes. No, it was mixed, if you may put it that way, because the president was actually invited by the Prime Minister of Singapore to join him in that revival of that F1 racing in Singapore. And the president most likely saw an opportunity for him to expand on the goodwill that he generated when he made the official state visit. But of course, we could not announce that beforehand for security reasons. It is obvious. And the visit then was partly official, partly personal. But when I was asked about this in a press conference that was informally initiated by me, when at the time when the press secretary was not yet appointed, or there was no press secretary, I had to say to them in answer to a question that looking at or distinguishing the sources of funding for that trip between the personal and the official might be very difficult, so I called it irrelevant. Kasi po, meron tayong obligasyon na kung saan pupunta yung presidente, kasama man yung pamilya niya o hindi naman niya iniiwan yung pagka-presidente niya eh. So, obligado pa rin yung gobyerno na alagaan siya, i-secure siya. At that was my point when I made that statement. I do not know, it's impossible to say which part of it is personal, which part of it is official, but actually, hindi po personal yun eh, only. No? Dapat po malinaw sa ating...
With your permission, Minority Leader, I saw pictures of him meeting with Prime Minister Lee and also some of the cabinet ministers. Is that correct?
Yes, also from other countries that
Right.
may have interest in Philippine governance and
Right.
Philippine business.
And I understand he also met a lot of CEOs during that visit. Is that right? Yeah.
All of them were relevant friends of the country.
Because I think I forget who, but someone made the statement it was a very big networking event in effect, because these were all high-level or high-powered individuals who were attending the event. Is that correct?
Is absolutely correct.
Thank you, Executive Secretary.
Basta, Mr. Chairman, from the answer given to us, or from the inputs of the Executive Secretary, kita natin na yung the root of it all is the invitation from the Prime Minister of Singapore to Mr. Bongbong Marcos as President of the Republic of the Philippines. So, therefore, that was an official trip. Then COA na po mag-audit naman yan sa expenses na charged to the budget of the Office of the President. Okay, so that was an official trip. Yung not being announced for security reasons, we understand that. So, kailangan ng ganon. Pero ito lang sabihin ko lang sa inyo, Mr. ES, kasi siyempre tinitext tayo ng media eh. Ano daw masasabi ko sa trip as the minority leader sa trip sa Singapore? Sabi ko, bakit nasa Singapore ba? Hindi ko rin alam eh. So, kasi nga because of the parang lumalabas that the executive branch tried to keep it secret. But secret before siguro the trip, just to make it unpredictable. But of course, after the trip, there would be an announcement and a reporting as to what was achieved by the trip. Ganun siguro yun, because it was an official engagement. Looks like it was an official engagement. Yes.
I wanted to add that just to explain po, ang context po ng pagdadalaw niya doon had to be kept secret because it was not a state visit. If it were a state visit, I am sure security precautions would be higher. But when it is a semi-official visit like this, upon the invitation of a friendly ally or of an ally, mas maganda nga po yung ganun kuminsan eh. Lower ang security risks until you are there. And that particular Formula 1 race, I am made to understand, is a race that is being held for the first time in at least 2 years. And it was a very rare race because it was held at night time. Many other high-positioned people from other countries were there also, and they were not there on state visit or that's just the point that I am making.
Yes, sir. I completely understand. Di naman kailangan lahat ng kilos ng presidente abroad must be state visits. Eh. Actually, state visits are at the expense of the host country. But official visits is at our expense. Yun lang naman po yung, at least, ako, basta, from the answer given to my question, I have an opinion as to the nature of that visit. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
I just wanted to acknowledge, with your permission, Minority Leader, the former chair of the committee, our Senate President Pro Tempore, Senator Lauren Legarda. Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you. Welcome to the OP family, our executive secretary, our head of PMS, and Honey Rose. Where is she? Oh, she should be in the maraming.
Staff.
Yes, Honey Rose,
Honey
just
Rose.
like
Yusek Honey
Nina came from the Senate. Okay, we welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senate President Pro Temp. And of course, I received a text, Your Honors, from Majority Leader Villanueva, expressing support for the budget of the OP and the PMS. And he sends his highest regards and esteem to ES and SECNIDA. Just for the record. Go ahead, Minority Leader.
Just a few more questions. Sige, I give way to our more senior.
Is it on a related point, ma'am?
I saw, I thought it was a Dole hearing. I saw,
Si Asek Miklat, yeah.
what will happen to our Tupad? Tupad is so successful. Oh,
May magtutupad doon. Yes. Maybe that's why he's recruited by the PMS. So.
Kasi sabi ni Senator Koko, kailangan ng lagaan ko yung PMS. Kailangan ko magaling ang aking finance.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Minority.
Yes, just a few more questions. Madali na lang po ito. Yung just before we leave the matter of confidential and intelligence expenses, Mr. ES, meron din kasing nagsasabi sa akin, kailangan ko panlaliman din yung understanding ko sa intelligence kasi, that the office of the president is not supposed to be or is not a generator of intelligence. It is a user, consumer of intelligence. So the intelligence funds are better given to agencies which generate intelligence reports. So that is the opinion. And I see the point of that opinion, Mr. Chairman. So I'm just making it of record na meron din ganun debate as to
Sir.
whether or not an agency should be entitled to be given intelligence funds.
Yes, sir. But I think the counterpoint to that is that intelligence or official government agencies are not the only source of intelligence. So some agencies may see fit to purchase intelligence from other sources. I think that's the counterpoint to that. Yes, yes, sir.
That's a counter reasoning. But at any rate, I will still continue to deepen my understanding as to intelligence funds, the use of intelligence funds. I make the same I'll just reiterate my earlier appeal to be conscious of the medium-term fiscal framework of this administration. Ngayon ES and Senior Deputy ES Hubert Guevara, I noticed that tama yung parang yung CO nila. Yung budget po natin ay just increased by what percent, ES? Ano ba?
We may I ask
6% lang, 6%? Saan yung CO niya?
9.62% variance between this and the last.
Gusto ko makita yun sa CO, yung paghati mo sa CO. Bakit nawala rito?
You're repairing your buildings, ano? Medyo maluma
Yeah,
yung
yeah.
building ninyo.
We are right now building consistent with existing laws. The variance, Mr. Senator, is
Yes.
9.62%.
Layan Hall ho is the main hall. That's the one we always meet in ho.
Remain Palace,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's heavily used. I think every day that's in use, no?
Okay. Yun, isang observation ko lang, sir, is yung ating capital outlay. Parang it behaves within a band, within a range every year. Why is that? Why is that? Because the CO, capital outlay level for a certain calendar year or fiscal year should be more or less independent of the amount of the previous years, di ba? Unless multi-year obligation siguro 'yon, di ba? So is this what happened in the case of the OP? Bakit andun tayo sa 570 to 590 level? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
May I ask ASEC John?
Good morning, Your Honor. Actually, the capital outlay for the previous years is this one for the 2023, we're still ongoing this project. So technically, sir, may mga projects tayo na tinutuloy lang for 2023. So, for example, the NEB, yung construction ng ating retrofitting ng new executive building, and dun sa Kalayaan Hall, it's more on the, because of the processes that we have to consider also. And the construction of 4-story parking din po. It was already proposed in the previous years din po.
That is the new that is the new one. That is the 4-story parking building is the project to be started or initiated under the 2023 budget.
Yes, sir.
First release yan, if ever, for that project.
Actually, sir, we have this on the 2022, but it's not pushed through with the considering the process. So now we will continue it for the 2023.
Okay, sige, naintindihan ko na. So,
Okay po.
but more or less, pero siyempre yung mga procurement ng vehicles, plus replacement of machineries, etc. So nagkataon lang na ang bottom line natin ng CO is in the vicinity of the previous year's CO. Ganun po ang nangyayari.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, but sige, if that is driven by the plans, yeah, that is the bottom line. That, you know, coincidence lang na nandun sa level na yan. Then I get the explanation, Mr. President. So siguro tinitingnan ko lang naman tong COA reports. I-address na lang ninyo to, Sir ES, para mabura na po to sa future years. Yung meron din, pero there's an observation about yung God natin, yung gender, ano ba yung gender and development, because there's a formula yata. Because sa laki ng ano, how will you, I do not know how to, so if we need to, so it's either you can convince COA that you're complying, or if it's not applicable, you advise us if we need to amend the law or put a proviso there na pagdating sa ganitong offices na ganito yung budget. Kasi otherwise, 50% of your confidential and intelligence funds you should spend on God. And how do you prove that? So siguro that's a COA observation. If we do not change anything, it might keep on appearing. So tignan, gano'n na lang, advise us if the law needs to be changed, provide that exception. Mga ganon. So,
Your permission, Minority Leader, I think the Senate President Pro Tem wants to make a point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With the permission of the Minority Leader, the GAD is a very old law before our time. That's a gender and development. And it's, I believe, just 5% of the budget. I'm sure all government agencies can be compliant and we don't have to amend the law or even make an exemption, because I am certain that even with OP, and all other agencies, if there's a COA finding, they can actually see what are the activities that will make it compliant with law. And I'm sure, especially that the PMS is headed by a woman and populated and run by women, they would be happy to have activities to make the OP compliant with the GAD law, because it's a very important law. It mainstreams gender issues. So that was the Shahani law, I think, way back. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just that.
Thank you for sharing that with us. If you just look in front of you, Your Honors, you will see that our gender is outnumbered. And we're,
Sir, if I may
yeah.
interject something.
the eye test, definitely, we're passing the GAD law.
Siguro-
Go ahead, Minority Leader. Yes.
Ganito ba yung reality? Sandali, ganito ba? Yung GAD law requires 5% of the budget to be spent on gender and development PAPs or activities. Lagyan natin. And we look at the bottom line, di ba? So, and that bottom line includes CIF. So sa CIF pa lang, if you look at the CIF, that's already 5% of that is 225 million na kailangan gastusin from that amount, and then you will claim that it is for GAD. I think yun yung siguro yung mga realities on the ground lang na, because ma'am, because of the Confi and intelligence funds na medyo mataas. Yun po yung point. So advise na lang tayo based on experience. What do you, if any, hindi ko kayo pinipilit, based on experience, do you advise your legislators to make some adjustments? Kung hindi, it might keep on appearing and reappearing in audit findings. Kasi ganun yung pag-interpret po ba? Tama po ba, ma'am? Ganun yung pag-interpret. You look at the bottom line budget of total new appropriations, ba? Then times 0.05. That is the amount to be spent on GAD. Is that basically what COA is looking for?
Yes, Your Honor.
So ganun. That's it. Sige.
Perhaps we can ask, Mr. Chair, in previous administrations, in previous years, whether there's always been a COA finding consistent. And when COA cites an agency for non-compliance with the law, we can ask them, what are the PAPs in compliance with this law? Kasi pag pumula ka, magbigay ka ng suhestyon. Ano ba yan? And if it's within the mandate of the OP, then they can easily comply. For example, if it's confidential funds, but these funds that say can help women in marginalized women in vulnerable populations in strife-torn areas, that's already compliant with for livelihood programs in rebel areas, in areas of insurgency, provide livelihood for women. It can even be for solo parents. And dami-daming interventions that will be compliant with GAD. So I don't think the new government administration will have difficulty in complying with this age-old law. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
We'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Senate Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva. Earlier, sir, we manifested because you texted me, so I hope you don't mind. I already manifested your support, but you're free to manifest again if you wish.
Yes, I heard it, Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And as you already manifested, I'm here to express my full support to our team, our Honorable Executive Secretary, our good friend, and the seatmate in the SET, ES Lucas Bersamin, and of course, Secretary Naida Angpin, Mr. Chairman. I will no longer share with you stories of this representation, how I met her and how I've known her, and I fully trust her, Mr. Chairman, and I'm sure she is perfect for the job. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Parang,
Thank you.
Because I didn't get the chance to be part of the Commission on Appointments, Senate President Pro Tempore. Thank you.
I will wrap up.
Joel, thank you.
I will wrap up, Mr. Chairman. So,
Go ahead, Minority Leader.
as I wrap up, I just wish all the best the OP and the OP family. I know it's a very difficult time to govern ngayong panahon. Ang dami nating problema. So, yun lang yung ating budget, yung ating paggagastos, ingatan natin yung pera ng bayan. Ang hirap erase from our people, and then mahirap na rin yatang umutang, at saka wag naman tayo rin mabuhay sa utang kasi hindi rin maganda yon. Dapat pakita natin sa rest of the world that, to maintain our standard of living, the quality of life that we desire, we are also working for it very hard. Nagpapapawis din po tayo. We are breaking our backs for that quality of life that we all desire for our people. So, andito lang po kami. Basta, please understand our role. But we still wish you the best. We wish the success of all administrations because, we are one boat. And we will sink together, or we will successfully reach our destination together as one people. So, salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Very much for very eloquently put, Minority Leader. I think Vice Chair Senator Bongo just wishes to make a manifestation. I was told. Is he online?
Yes.
Senator Bong.
Mr.
Vice
Chair,
sir. Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
salamat po. My distinguished colleagues, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, PMS Secretary Zenaida Angpin, and all the resource persons present today, Esdes Guevara. Let me begin my brief manifestation by congratulating and commending President Ferdinand Marcos for making his first 100 days in office. Amid high expectations from the public, the President and his cabinet strategized plans and policies which aim to give the Filipino people a better and safer Philippines. Following the President's pronouncement in his first State of the Nation address, I am happy that he is giving particular emphasis on strengthening the public healthcare system and ensuring an inclusive economic recovery. I am certain with the leadership of President Marcos, together with the Office of the President, Office of the Executive Secretary, and the Presidential Management Staff, the foundation for recovery of health, livelihood, and peace will be strengthened. Let us build on the successes of the previous administration and continue to make the lives of Filipinos more comfortable and ensure that no one will be left behind in the road towards recovery in support of the current administration's goals. Having been able to work closely with the previous president for the past, 2016 to 2018-19, nakatrabaho ko po yung mga taga-PMS, OES, mga professionals po yan. In fact, maliit na opisina lang po yung akin, yung SAP. Hindi po ako ang head ng PMS noon, oversight lang. At ayaw ko talaga, ayaw kong mag-head rin ng PMS dahil puro magagaling ang mga tao dyan. At gusto kong sila mismo ang magpalakad ng opisina dahil alam kong kaya nila. Matatagal na yung mga empleyado dyan. Panahon pa po ni President Cory Aquino, President Marcos, President Estrada, President Arroyo, President Aquino again. So, magagaling, matatalino. So, sabi ko, kaya nyo yung trabaho dyan sa PMS. So, ako naman, dito lang sa tabi, to oversight lang po at tumutulong lang, pinapasa ko lang po sa kanila yung trabaho. Naintindihan ko napakahirap po. Minsan, 24 hours on call ang mga yan. I understand the burden that you carry there in Malacanang. Alam ko ang hirap ng trabaho. While others only see the President and his cabinet, you and I know the hardship and challenges that your offices go through. The complete staff work, the piles of documents to be reviewed before it reaches the President's desk, the coordination needed to put the house in order, from the most senior staff members down to the unsung heroes who ensure the success of the country's highest office. Saludo po ako sa mga trabahante dyan sa OP, sa OES, lalo na po sa PMS, na nakilala ko rin po nung nakaraang 6 na taon ni Pangulong Duterte. With this, and with a huge task at hand, you have my full support sa OP, sa OES, sa PMS, just continue to serve the Filipino people. Unahin niyo po yung mga mahihirap po. Yun lang po ang pakiusap ko sa inyo. Yung mga walang matakbuhan po, yung mga hopeless, mga helpless, unahin po natin silang pagsilbihan. Bilang senador, hangad ko rin po ang tagumpay ng kanyang administrasyon ni Pangulong Marcos at handa akong suportahan ang mga legislative agenda na sa tingin ko ay makakabuti sa ating mamamayan. Nasa likod niyo po ang milyon-milyong mga Pilipino, kaya sigurado akong may tutupad niyo po ang mga programa na maghahatid sa ating bansa at ng mamamayang Pilipino ng kaunlaran. Again, I express my full support to the budget of the Office of the President, OES, and its Technical Assistance Arm, Presidential Management Staff. And of course, salamat sa ating chairman, Senator Angara, sa pag-suporta sa Office of the President, OES. And of course, si Senator Loren Ligarda, alam niyo po noon, very supportive rin po siya sa Office of the President. Alam niya po gaano ka-importante ang opisinang yan. At sa lahat ng mga colleagues ko, salamat po sa inyong suporta. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Salamat ng marami, Vice Chair Senator Bongo. Of course, alam na alam po ni Senator Go yung laman loob po nung trabaho nung Office of the President, having come from there. And thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your support. I'm sure na-appreciate ho yan ng ating mga kasapi sa Office of the President and PMS.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Go. Go ahead, ma'am. Senate President Pro Tem.
While, Mr. Chair, thank you. While Senator Bongo is on the line or online, perhaps you can share with the OP during your time with President Duterte, there was a very important intervention in the budget where the OP was able to help MSMEs, especially those in the north. I think there was a big storm. Were these amendments to the MSME law under the Small Business Corporation? I just want to know, I'm trying to recall, which agency was that? And it was very important, nakatulong ng malaki sa pagbibigay ng kapital at tulong na pinamimigay ng Pangulo sa mga nasasalanta na mga kalamidad. Would the good senator, when he was still working with the Office of the President, know what that was? That was maybe 2015, no, 16 or 17 in the early years of the Duterte administration. Only if you remember, we can find that in the
Hindi ko na
LBRM
po-
records. Yes.
Napakarami mong natulungan ni Presidente. So, if he's,
Senator Loren,
yeah, go ahead, sir.
hindi ko na po masyado maalala, pero I'm sure kayo po yung tumulong sa narinig ko po through ES Medialdea yata noon. Kayo po yung tumulong na magkaroon po ng pondo. And I think it was, of course, through the Department of Trade and Industry, if kung MSMEs po yung pinag-uusapan natin. Hindi ko na po maalala, siguro that was 5 years ago pa po, 6 years ago, Senator Loren.
Thank you, Vice Chair Go. Maybe we can ask the LBRMO to revive that. In the meantime, next to ask is Senator Padilla. If he has any questions, you have 10 minutes, sir.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na tagapangulo, Senator Sani Angara. Pagpupugay po sa isang chairman ng aming partido, PDP Laban, Minority Leader, Senator Koko Pimentel. Sa atin pong pro tempore, ang maganda at magaling, Senator Loren Ligarda. At siyempre po, sa ating pinunong mayorya, ang aking best friend, Joel Villanueva, Senator Joel Villanueva. Oo.
Maulit yung botohan eh.
Oh,
Iba na po yung boto ninyo.
malaking yes na. Bigyan ng jacket yan. Isang magandang umaga po sa ating pong mga bisita. Isa pong malaking karangalan po sa akin ang makasama po kayo ngayong araw na to. Meron lang po akong maiksi lang po ito. Patungkol po ito suong nakaraan ng 2017 po. Ito po ay para sa ating mahal na kalihim, Executive Secretary. Noong 2017 po, nagkaroon po tayo ng Marawi Siege. at nawasak po talaga ang Marawi. At ito pong 2022, nagkaroon po tayo ng Republic Act 11696, otherwise known as the Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Act. At dito po, nakalagay po dito, napakalinaw po nito, na magkakaroon po ng board, Marawi Compensation Board. At ang sinasabi po dito, ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas po ang magtatalaga kung sino po yung bubuo ng board. Ngayon po, nakalagay kasi dito, the President shall appoint the chairperson and the other 8 members of the board. At siyempre po, bilang ang ating pong mahal na kalihim, ay siya po ang masasabi na pinakamalapit sa ating Pangulo para magdesisyon po rito. Gusto lamang po namin itanong kung kailan po ito maisasagawa sapagkat nito pong huling pag-uusap patungkol po sa budget, meron na pong nakalaan na 1 bilyon piso para po maumpisahan yung Marawi Compensation Board. Yun lang po, napakaiksi lang po. Gusto lang po namin malaman, lalong-lalo na po ang mga kapatid po ninyo sa Marawi, kung kailan po masasagawa ng ating mahal na Pangulo yung pagtatalaga ng board para po maumpisahan na po ang pagbibigay ng kompensasyon. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po, mahal na kalihim.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Senador. Ang pagkakaalam ko po, hindi pa kami nakapagtalaga ng mga taong that will make up the board. No? We might be waiting for applications because we ought to have a good view through these persons who will be serving on the board. Kung meron po kayong gustong irekomenda, open pa po. Asikasuhin namin yan ng mabilis.
Nako, pumapalak po yung tenga ko Teka, awatin ko. maraming salamat po. Yun lang po ang gusto kong marinig at ako na lang po ay makikipag-koordinasyon po sa inyong opisina. Maraming salamat po, mahal na kalihim. Mabuhay po kayo.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. If I may, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you, Senator Padilla. I was about to leave and go to another hearing, but I just thought it is a important, at most important, to also raise an issue, Mr. Chairman, that I can share with our Executive Secretary and PMS Secretary. This is the issue of contractualization in government service, because right now we have about 642,077 job orders and contract of service. I have been raising this issue every single year, every budget season for the past 6 years, and in every agencies of the government, I would also do that. After this, when I go to DSWD budget hearing, I will also raise the particular issue in that particular department, because unfortunately, 1 of every 10 positions in the government is still unfilled. 1 of every 10. So right now, there's about 170-something thousand unfilled positions. And imagine, with 170,000 unfilled positions, you have 642,077 contract of service, job orders, etc. When I was in TESDA, I was surprised to find out na yung mga empleyado namin, 10-15 years na, JO pa rin, no? So, in some cases, Mr. Chairman, it's not really the fault of the department, because the item in itself is not suited for the worker. And so we also raised this with the Civil Service Commission. In fact, si Chairman Carlo Nograles already come up with a task force to look into it. At the same time, find out on how they will be able to help this our human resources to make it in that particular position. For example, by giving point system, additional point system, etc. Rico, you're there pala. Good to see you, my friend. So, yun lang gusto kong i-raise, Mr. Chairman, because, for example, this 642,077 comprise 26% of our workforce. Can you imagine, nasa job order, nasa contract of service, samantalang ang daming unfilled positions, and marami ho dyan. I can also give you yearly yung mga ito para kung hindi man nila fill upan, sarado na lang natin or i-evaluate po natin, at gaya nung sabi ko, minsan hindi naman kasalanan ng ahensya, magawan ho natin ng paraan with the civil service, matulungan nyo din po tayo because this has been our advocacy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, I commit to support, if not augment the budget of the OP and the PMS. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yung augment daw ang pinaka-importante dun sa sinabi ninyo, sir. No, but before I recognize the Executive Secretary, I just want to say, Majority Leader Villanueva has been very consistent since his entry into the Senate in 2016. Every year niya po sinasabi yan. Baka, Majority Leader, maganda isama na natin sa right sizing act yan kung sakali, na we give the DBM and the CSC the power to alter or revise the qualifications, because usually ang dahilan na binibigay sa atin, wala kasing position ho yan under the, so if we give them the power to do that, wala na hong dahilan, di ba? Pagka meron na silang kapangyarihan na baguhin yung qualifications, kasi sinasabi lang minsan, yung kahit 10 taon na ho or 20 years doon, wala hong degree. Wag na nating asahan na mag-aaral yung isang 60 taon, sir. So, I acknowledge your consistency and the power of your arguments there, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
We're one
Chairman.
with you, sir. We're one
Thank
with
you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad that you mentioned yung right sizing because 2 days ago we had our LEDAC meeting with the SP Pro Temp Lauren Legarda and ES Bersamin and Secretary Angpin. And the President, no less than the President himself, is very much interested in passing this measure. And because of the fact that so many people are watching us right now, again, I will point out, right sizing doesn't mean downsizing. So it's making our government entities, institutions more efficient and more effective, and I'm full support of that. And for the record, this representation as a bill pursuing this right-sizing measure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. ES Bersamin, sir.
Yes, maraming salamat po sa mga binanggit ninyo, tinukoy, tungkol sa contractualization. Makakaasa kayo na bibigyan namin ng tunay na pansin dyan.